Hello and welcome to Zerocarbonista, Series 6, The Cow in the Room. I'm Ian Collins, and this is your number one go-to environment-based podcast. If it's green, it's in. And there is a kind of, I was about to say a showdown, Dale, with Nigel Farage. Is that the way to describe this? What's happening?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Actually, I think he's been on the airwaves in the last couple of weeks. Beginning with the dissing of net zero, and then blaming net zero for high energy bills ultimately. And he's been saying it again this week. I'm on the Today program tomorrow at a really ungodly time, like I don't know 6:50 or something like that. To actually offer the other side, the sane side, the one that's based on fact.
Okay.
And then Ed Miliband is joining the show around about 8 o'clock, I think. And I hope anyway, we'll be talking about the same thing, as in I'll be saying, break the link. That's the only way we can get energy bills down. That's the reason our energy bills are so high. And I imagine and hope that will be put to Ed Miliband on the show to say, well, what about it, Ed? Why aren't we breaking the link? You must have heard of it.
Well, let's have a listen then to what Nigel Farage said on Wednesday morning on the Today programme.
I think we should scrap the net zero targets. Yes, absolutely. I think they're going to make zero difference to the world.
What is your policy for dealing with climate change then?
Well, Nick, you better go and talk to the Chinese about that.
I'm talking to you. What's your policy for reducing climate change?
We make no difference whatsoever. I think we should be mining our own coal that we need for our steelworks. I think we should be self-sufficient, in fact, even an exporter of gas.
If the climate warms, so be it.
We make no difference.
What, not even in leadership, Mr. Farage?
So I've heard that argument.
We can do what we like.
I've heard that argument.
It doesn't make any difference.
I've heard that argument for nearly 3 decades, and it hasn't worked.
I mean, he's going the whole hog there, Dale. He's saying, we don't need any kind of policies at all. Dig, baby, dig, and we will make no difference. What bit do you not understand about that, Dale? It'll make no difference. Give up.
You stole my line, you swine. But yeah, he's gone the whole net zero hog. You're right. Which is madness. And like to say that we should dig our own coal to make our own steel is to be detached from reality. The new coal mine in Cumbria that isn't opening would have exported 85% of its coal anyway, because it's not suitable for steel making in our country. So he doesn't live in the real world. He says green energy is putting up the price of energy bills, which is untrue. Listen, his background is as a city trader, right, in commodities and stuff like that. He knows there's a global price for fossil fuels, and it sets the price that we pay in our country. Doesn't matter how much we take out of the North Sea, and there's not very much left. 10% of what it used to have. It only provides about 1/3 of our gas now. We are wringing the last drops of it out. He knows that it's the price of gas setting the price of our bills. But instead he peddles these are lies. These are kind of Brexit era equivalent lies, like we'll be better off. They need us more than them. We can have our cake and eat it, all that kind of stuff. 350 million per week for the NHS on the side of the bus. Turkey's about to join the EU. You'll remember all of those porky pies. They're coming back now from the same mouth. He's got a new target. And the thing he hates now is not the EU. It's Brexit. No, it's not. It's the thing that he hates now is not the EU. It's net zero. Hell.
But you know what? See, if I can just put my Arthur Scargill hat on for a second here, Dale, as I do from time to time. I mean, we could be if the mining was back, we could be doing this podcast live from a coal mine. I mean, imagine the possibilities. You're not even thinking about that.
It'd look like that. I mean, Ian, pass the matches. No, don't pass the matches.
No matches. Oh, look, it's a canary. So this is going to be your response. By the time this podcast is out, you will have made the response, and I guess you're going to do so as robustly as that.
I guess so, yeah. It depends on what the Today program allow. Also, we're putting out an op-ed tomorrow. We got a fantastic cartoon from one of those famous newspaper cartoonists. It's really funny. And a series of social media stuff. We're also releasing our report, Breaking the Link. It's a deeper dive into what it costs us to allow the global price of gas to set the price of electricity here. And it shows in 2022 and 2023, it was about £40 billion a year, which is like, just staggering sums of money, completely wasted. We didn't create a single job. We didn't invest a single pound in infrastructure. We just shoveled this money out of our economy into global gas markets for no good reason than we have a market mechanism that allows gas to set the price of the wind and the sun. It's insane.
So who is in charge of that? I mean, who sets who says that's the system? So we're going to allow that, not just the cost of the fossil fuel of gas, but the highest cost at that point. Who is it that could change that?
Well, I think Ed Miliband could change it. Clearly, this government could change it. It's a regulation within our trading rules for trading energy and balancing the grid in our country. So we are, at the moment, 2 weeks in, I think, to writing a Haynes manual for how to break the link, because our civil service says it's too difficult. That's been putting Ed's team off, as far as I understand it. So we're going to write a how to do it in the style of a Haynes manual. You'll remember them. You must have had a Ford Cortina.
I had a Ford Escort, so yeah, same deal.
Yeah, same deal.
I couldn't wait to go to Halfords to get the Haynes manual either. Yeah. It was a brilliant.
They were lovely, weren't they? I really love them. We're talking to them at the minute about doing something else, Haynes manual for something a bit, a proper Haynes manual for greening up your home or something like that. I think it'd be quite funny. If we can pull it off, we'll have it out for Christmas.
Definitely. Let's look, a brief word, because we might as well just talk about the global economy. Big IMF downgrading of all economies, it seems. What do you make of that, Dale?
Yeah, not to be unexpected, I think. We've seen the most incredible turmoil, haven't we? I think the dollar hit a 3-year low this week, which is, to be, I think, celebrated, actually, because it's a direct consequence of the man in charge there and his kind of reckless behavior to everything, attitude to everything. I think there's more to come. Okay. And at some point, maybe the grown-ups will get back in the room, although, I mean, he selected a team around him that don't seem to fit that description. But maybe at some point, the grown-ups will get back in the room and a bit of normality will resume. Who knows?
But it's not grim everywhere in the world of economics, Dale.
That's right. It seems that most of the world's economy landed in my inbox just now. This just came in, literally just came in. And I want to say, have you ever seen a check quite that big?
So it's like, for those in vision, you can see this, but if you're listening to this podcast, this is a check to Ecotricity for £23,735,580.40.
Oh, don't forget the pence. Come on.
How is that? What is that? How does that work out? And why do they really, at that level, send you a flipping check?
I can't believe it's a check. I thought it'd be a back thing, but it's basically the people that bought Good Energy buying our shares from us. So like we held a quarter of the company or something like that. It's the biggest check I've ever seen. Probably most of us have ever seen or will ever see.
Wow. What are you going to do with it? You're going to go shopping, get down to the arcades?
Do you think they could cash that for me at the little booths,
if you went into one of those little shops, where they do sort of transactions, and there's always probably an iffy fella there as well that would go, I'll give you something for that, son.
No, in the arcade booth, where you're going to get your 10p's and your 2p's.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, you can play a lot of air.
But it brings to an end an era. We've been shareholders for about 10 years in the company, and we're talking to the new owners now about things we can do together. So it's kind of nice. It's like a end of an era. Let's just call it that.
Well, what a happy era. What a happy
check. Off big check.
Indeed. Let's talk about Italy and zonal pricing.
Yeah. You want me to talk about it?
Yeah. Well, unless there's anyone else that wants to have it. That fella that fixed your computer earlier, he might know about it.
Oh, yeah. He might know. Yeah, he's half-handy then. Well, look, I think we can sum it up like this. It was a up. Right, it didn't go well. Maybe I'll put it that way in case you missed the point. It just didn't go well.
So tell us exactly what it is, zonal pricing. What does it mean? What happened?
Oh, well, look, zonal pricing is a theory, right? And the idea is we break the single energy market of Britain into 12 pieces. And then those 12 pieces trade with each other. So it gets madly complicated. There's a new set of charges to be created between the 12 zones for when they transfer energy. And one of the ideas of zonal pricing is energy would be cheaper in Scotland where there's more renewables. And so businesses will up sticks with their factories and their workforces, and they'll move to Scotland where the energy is cheaper. That's a stupid idea, right? I mean, just really, really so stupid. And the people behind it, one of the companies behind it is Octopus. There are probably only two, Octopus and Ovo. The rest of the world is aligned against them. Unions, investors, big energy companies, generators, the CBI, people like that are all saying, God, no, don't do that. Their own report says that energy prices will go up in 5 zones of the country where 40 million people live, and they'll go down in some other places. So it'll create a postcode lottery of energy bills, a lot of uncertainty in the investment community, and a lot of complication. It will take a couple of years, maybe even 3 to implement, and you know, some tens of millions of pounds at least. We'll all need new systems, and you've got to ask why. And then look at Italy, and bills went up. And yeah, okay, I mean, they will. They'll just look at the theory of it. Bills will go up. So look, I can't say anything good about zonal pricing.
Okay. Should we talk then about tariffs? Because apparently US are going to impose tariffs of up to 3,521% on solar panels from Southeast Asia. Yeah. That's quite a lot, right?
Yeah, and you got to wonder, right, except I'm already going to answer my own question, is there no sense of proportionality in that White House that says, as soon as we double the cost of something, nobody's going to buy it? So why do we need to make a 3,000% increase in the price of something? Why? Because nobody's going to buy it if we just do a 100% increase.
Well, right.
Yeah. So it's a grand sounding number, but it became pointless above about 100%. But today I read in a headline this afternoon that Trump has just said he's going to lower tariffs from China. So maybe he's already beginning to crumble.
Well, he's kind of, I think he's crumbled a few times so far. He's blinked first. He's blinked first. He's blinked again, and he's now potentially going to blink again. And, you know, I was talking to a guy that says, look, I don't know anything about this industry, this world tariffs, how it all works, international trade. He said, but it seems to me that all Trump's done is essentially beaten his chest and crowed and made lots of noise to say, I'm back, I'm big, I could mess you up, I mean business. And actually, that's it, really. And then ultimately, when everything's gone away and gone back to normal, he'll say, I'm left in a far more dominant position. Don't mess with me, mofo. That's apparently the message.
Okay.
Could be true.
Who knew it had a coherence?
Well, yeah, that might give it too much. Maybe Trump doesn't realize he's doing that. But, you know, that came from Phil in the gym.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Good to know. Big fan of yours, Dale.
You got filled in the gym. That's what I'm hearing.
There you go. Don't want to think about it. I tell you what we would think about, talking about the Trump administration, he's got a health secretary called JFK Jr. So it's Americans Make American Great Again diet.
Yeah, it's quite amusing, really, because the idea is that seed oils are bad for us, like sunflower oil and that kind of stuff, and they're killing us, poisoning us, or something like that. This is a man, JFK Jr., that is against vaccinations and stuff like that. You know, he's not got a great medical track record, I would say. But instead of seed oils, what he's recommending is lard, animal fat. You know, like what's it called? Like beef dripping. Cooking chips and things like that in beef dripping. So if there's anything that's going to make America even greater than it is now, it'll be that. Do you like that?
Yeah, and I'm just wondering with what kind of with what advice or kind of educated reason he has decided that cow oil is better than kind of nature oil.
I don't know, but you've got to remember these are the people that say the climate crisis is a hoax.
What, it isn't? Wow, you've waited this far into this podcast to reveal this tale. He's absolutely sold on the hoax thing. There's no doubt about that. As far as he's concerned, it is hoax central.
He's done some batshit things, actually. So, you know, I mean, I wouldn't give him any credence, not even a little bit, not even a vaccination's worth, you know, not even a homeopathic. Is that the right word? Not even a homeopathic dose of credence would I give to that man.
Well, as my old Nan would say, he's a bit of a cock. Let's move on to this question from Kevin Butcher, who says, when will Mr. Vince tell us how long it will be before the wind and the sun can provide regular, stable energy capable of being stored when there's no wind or sun? Until such time, we need all options, including current fossil fuel-based energy, available to lead us to clean energy in the future.
Yeah, so look, I understand the question. Of course, the energy that we make from the wind and sun now is capable of being stored. But what I think is really behind this question is, when are we going to have enough storage to keep ourselves going and that kind of stuff? A couple of things to say. 6 countries in the world already almost run on 100% green energy. That's one thing. But the other thing I wanted to say is, nobody on this side of the argument is saying let's switch off fossil power stations, right? We do need to use fossil fuels at this moment in this transition. So actually, I agree with you. We need to keep them running. And as we build more wind and sun, we simply need to turn them down. And so the amount of gas we use just goes like this. And then we'll have made the transition. And by then we'll have built the storage, installed the smart grid, done all those great things, and we'll be able to run ourselves on 100% green energy, according to the national grid, not just according to me.
Question from Dominic on X, who says, this is a post on Farage, who apparently compared himself to Thatcher, says, let's stick to data and facts about the merits or demerits of net zero. Labelling and name-calling tend to cheapen the argument. What's been the benefit of these policies? How have they helped to bring energy bills down and boost economic growth?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that Farage likens himself to Thatcher, his political hero. While he supports coal, she shut the industry down, which is quite funny. He blames our industrial decline on Ed Miliband, who's been in the job 9 months. But actually, it began with Margaret Thatcher, who brought in privatization, that incredibly bankrupt philosophy that was all about selling off public assets to private interests. And if you look what's happened now in steel, rail, water, all kinds of industries, including energy, all of these industries are failing us while they're in foreign hands, foreign private hands. So that began the deindustrialization of our country. Yeah, we shouldn't do the name calling. I think the question is, what benefits have we got from green energy already? On last week's episode, we talked about a report from the IEA, the International Energy Association, I'm guessing.
Yep.
60 billion pounds saved across Europe from green energy during the energy crisis. 60 billion pounds.
Well, on that point of saving money, I spotted this story. You may have seen this too, Dale. Motorists could save 850 quid a year by choosing an electric car over a hybrid, because this has always been a bit of a grey area, and they've recently altered the rules on new hybrids. But nonetheless, the kind of results are out, as it were. It's still a greater saving going full electric.
Yeah, and actually what you did say wasn't wrong, but actually it was an 800 and something pound saving over a conventional car, fossil fuel car, and the hybrid had like a, I don't know, £100 difference or negligible difference. And so what you said is right. There's no difference between fossil and hybrid, actually. And the big savings are to have an electric car. And this is like lifetime ownership, cost of fuel, that kind of stuff. You know, we've known these things for a long time, but it's great when somebody puts out another report and says, hey, guys, did you know electric cars are cheaper?
I would have thought it's actually more than that, because when we do phone-ins on this, I mean, I had a guy call the other day, and he was talking about because he charges from home, so that's obviously the most efficient way to do it. Clearly not a massive user, like a sales rep that goes up and down the country, but he significant enough. He said it's ridiculously cheap to charge. He also has solar panels on his roof, so that supplies his electricity. So it's kind of costing him nothing, because he's gone the full circle.
Absolutely. I think this study was some kind of average, but you're right. Almost three quarters of us can charge at home. And when you can do that, it's actually dirt cheap. And if you have your own solar panels, you make your own fuel from the sun. It's just incredible. But that doesn't get reported in these studies. It's more of a kind of average and that kind of stuff. And you're right, most of us just don't go very far. 99% of all car journeys in our country are less than 100 miles. I mean, check that out. And the range of a typical electric car today is about 300 miles. Still, there's a thing called range anxiety in the world.
Yeah. It's just funny that, isn't it? Because that kind of went out the window a while back, but it's still there with some people. And whenever we've done phone-ins on asking people about the positive or even negative side of electric cars, that never comes up anymore. Nobody talks about the range. That's kind of an older argument now. Unless you're driving to Rio de Janeiro, then you might need to plot out your charging points on the way.
I think there are more extreme right-wing shows than yours, though, and I think range anxiety does come up.
Oh yeah, quite. Yeah, you can't go nowhere. You can't drive nowhere. I only got to the end of the road, it broke down.
That's right.
Yeah, you're on a bike, mate.
Especially when you need to put the heaters on, right, or the coolers. You remember them?
Yeah, exactly. What about this? What about this story now? Security fears over mini nuclear plant network.
Yeah.
So the kind of idea of having nuclear power hasn't kind of gone away completely, has it? Because there's clearly a few agitators in this argument. I think Bill Gates is somehow involved as well.
Yeah, we've been saying this for a long time, right? The idea of a proliferation of nuclear power stations by miniaturizing them and dotting them everywhere, like some kind of cluster weapon, is really rather crazy. And it turns out we've got our own nuclear police force to look after the handful of big nuclear sites we have. And what somebody's done in an article, I think, in the last week or so, is raises the question, well, what are we going to do with this nuclear police force if we have a couple of hundred of these mini nukes dotted everywhere near all the big towns and cities of our country? What's going to happen? How are we going to police them? Because they will need protecting, actually. And there it is. I mean, the idea that we can miniaturize a nuclear power station and make it cheaper goes against everything we know, all of the economies of scale. It's almost like a law of physics. It says if you make something bigger, it gets cheaper. If you make something smaller, like miniaturize it, it gets more expensive. People in the industry go, no, it's fine. We'll make them smaller and cheaper and faster. And, it's like a second coming of nuclear power, and it won't be any more successful than the first.
Yeah. So you're applying the word bollocks to this.
Bollocks works.
There it is. Dougie Blair says, Dale, scrap the marginal pricing for electricity, allow peer-to-peer energy trading, and introduced net metering for domestic producers and consumers. No public money involved, and the renewables industry will be transformed in no time, as would the uptake of ASHPs and EVs. Will we do it? Not a chance in hell, says Dougie.
Well, I think we will. That first one is breaking the link, the marginal pricing. Yeah. I'm still confident that we'll break the link. The numbers are, I don't know, hard to argue against. I mean, vast sums of money, £40 billion a year wasted. All we got to do is change the rules, save 40 billion quid. Why wouldn't we do that? I do think we will. Net home metering, that's already possible to do. Bunk some solar panels on your roof, and your import bill is netted against the energy that you generate. I mean, it's simple as that. So I think a lot of these ideas, Dougie, they're coming, right? I think they're coming. I'm not sure about peer-to-peer trading. I think that's very complicated, more complicated than zonal pricing. But, people have tried it, and some people enjoy it. It's not my thing.
One from Stuart Hill on X, who says, what about the carbon footprint left by all those windmills and solar panels? Not unreasonably, Dale. It comes up from time to time.
Yeah, it does. It's one of these lovely things. We never looked at the carbon footprint of a power station, particularly a nuclear power station, before. We look now, actually, and it takes 10 years of operation of a nuclear power station to pay back its carbon footprint in, let's say, reduced carbon electricity. And so when you look at the numbers for a solar project, it's 12 months. If you look at wind, it's 6 months, 3 to 6, depending on how much wind you have. And that's taking into account all of the materials, all of the manufacturing, all of the transport, and the installation. In all these cases, 10 years for nuclear, 3 to 6 months for wind energy.
And so it's time, Dale, to move to X-Rated Corner. We love this bit. These are from people who are not necessarily what you'd call Dale Vince super fans, possibly on the other side of the argument, and therefore aren't always that flattering with what they say. Small children listening or watching right now should close their ears. First couple are fine, but then it gets a little bit salty. Matthew says, how about you stop eating salmon, Dale? Don't tell others what they can and can't do.
I thought you said beating. Stop beating salmon, but you said eating. I got that now.
Well, you don't eat salmon?
No, or beat it. I don't beat it either. Fuck. I mean, they do in the industry. They beat the hell out of it. They beat the life out of it, actually. But look, I'm not telling anybody what to do. I'm saying, look, you want to eat this shit, that's fine. But here's some facts about this shit. This is how they treat it. This is the pollution that it causes. These last week, I think it was a steroid story, wasn't it? And it's fine. Like, go ahead and eat this steroid-infected salmon if that's what you want. All I'm doing here is saying, I just thought you might want to know.
And on a similar vein, I don't know why the salmon has made its way into X-Rated Corner so prolifically.
It's good at swimming upriver.
I think so.
Yeah.
Paraken Chessie Peas on X says, reference all of that, I'm definitely going to have an extra piece of salmon for my dinner tomorrow just to annoy you.
I think it must be cheesy peas, surely.
Well, it should be cheesy peas, but it says Chessie peas.
He can't spell then, bless him.
Yeah.
Eat more salmon. Eat more salmon. It'll do you good. Honest.
Yeah. And final one from Concerned Citizen, who says, are you ready for this, Dale?
Yeah.
Who says, F off, dickhead. The world Like you give a shit. The world needs more carbon to help trees and plants survive. You utter, and then he put some clown emojis.
Who knew, right?
I told you, Dale Vince.
Who knew? And if you look at a graph, right, of history, if you go back millions of years or hundreds of thousands is enough, actually, of the climate and the carbon content of our atmosphere, it's never been anywhere near as big. And yet we used to have far more plants on our planet than we have right now.
There it is. Dale, that completes this episode. You can follow Dale on social media, twitter.com/DaleVince, facebook.com/DaleVince, and, of course, importantly, on TikTok too. And remember, bang on the dot, despite what Dale might tell you, 8 o'clock every Friday morning. This podcast is out, and tell your friends.